Oh, hi, Mukhtar. Is it Mukhtar?
Hi,
Yeah,
afternoon. Wow, there's a
afternoon.
lot of people. Jeez.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I brought some reinforcements.
Wow. Okay.
Perfect.
This wasn't meant to be four against one. I thought it was going to be one v one.
We're all friendly. We're on the same team here. We're all working towards the same goal. Perfect.
No,
Hi.
thank you for having me, guys.
Perfect. My name is Johnny. This is Vishnu, Sebastian, and Deepak. He's actually our founder. Can you
Nice
hear us?
meeting you guys. I'm
Okay,
Mukhtar.
perfect.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, buddy.
Yeah, it's nice to have you guys. Nice to. I've been like I came across your profile a while ago on Crunch,
Okay.
and then finally, managed to reach out.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. So, I mean, we're here. So, just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do and what your business and how you think you can help. And
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, so if you've tried to like look us up online and you couldn't find a domain, you couldn't find a
yeah,
website, it's because the business is a little bit new. I've joined the business as a business development manager slash sales manager. So there's an existing business called Sulfit Services Limited, where they predominantly do security services. So think of guards, CCTV, key holding, that kind of stuff. And they've made an acquisition. So they've acquired a company called Bluestone Limited, which we're going to rebrand as Secure Stone. Hence the email domain that like I've contacted you guys through. So, and the reason why they've made this acquisition is because the business we've acquired has a SIA approval. So in the security service industry, like if you like whenever like you're at an event or a bar, you'll see guys who have a badge, and it's a licensed industry, and companies providing services in the industry are also under the same requirement. But not every company, like it's not an obligation to be licensed as a company, but it only improves your
yeah. More
credentials, right?
credibility.
Yeah. So that's the domain. That's the website of the company that we've just acquired.
Congrats.
So me coming in as a business development manager, what I wanted to do was, instead of hiring like a junior salesperson, I wanted to see potentially if I could outsource that to a lead gen agency, whereby they can contact so like our ICP and book meetings for me, and then I can complete the rest of the sales process.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Then, I mean, if you don't mind, let me just ask you some questions out the bat.
Sure.
You said that your domain is down, and I mean, we noticed that when we try to look into your company. We saw the domain is down. Do you have any? Do you know when the domain will be up, when the website will be up? Because if you're going to start generating leads, and people will want to look into your website, and I mean, it would be ideal if they can find it. Let's say.
Yeah. So the so I'm a little bit sort of like jumping before like the acquisition has already happened, but there's still a little bit of like the admin side which needs to be done. Obviously, there's a whole rebrand going on, a new website being created, and all of that. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be like about 3 to 4 weeks. We're going for something simple just to get started. And then on the back of, so we've already got the domain, so we already own the domain, but we've got someone designing and building a website on the back of that, and then like we can, so like once we have a website live, we can probably start generating leads.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of services, I'm assuming that where are your services based? Where you trying to target? Is it in Manchester, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, it's predominantly like in the north of the UK, or the
Okay.
north of England. So I would say if it's project based, we're a little bit more flexible. So if it's a construction site in the south of England or in the Midlands, we're able to do that. But if it's a permanent site, let's say an office building, then we would kind of stick to sort of like the north of England. So anywhere around Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Hull, maybe even going all the way up to Newcastle. So the existing business already has about 100 employees, or rather 100 so like guards that work for the company. But then this bolt-on acquisition, the idea is we go into other parts of the security industry that we don't necessarily provide. So key holding is one of them, which we're licensed for, and then CCTV solutions. But at the beginning, I would be looking at sort of like going after clients who would want like man guards, key holding, alarm response. That's like easy wins. It's a bit of a longer sales process when it comes to CCTV solutions, or when it comes to like installation and design and all of that, which we will be doing in the future. But at the beginning, I'm just looking at just strengthening the cash flow of the business by bringing in these quick wins.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. But I mean, then you are giving us a lot of sectors and industries that we can target. Do you have any idea of who your ICP would be? A bit more specific, a bit more concrete? Is it offices? Is it storage facilities? Is it?
So if it's within commercial, it's facilities, and then if it's within construction companies, then it's within the project teams. So it'll be project managers, quantity surveyors, individuals who are putting together sort of like the subcontractors for a given project, or like site managers is another persona that a lot of times they are sort of like the key decision makers, and then if we're looking at say like another area you could look at is subcontracts. So targeting larger like security service organizations, and going after so one of the biggest challenges that they face is because it's such a just like any other industry, they struggled with finding low skilled labor workers, and that's where we kind of come in, because we have a huge network of people who we can bring in, so they are willing to give a subcontract to someone who is a little bit closer to the ground and has relationships with those individuals.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, but then all of these solutions and these prospects that you're saying are all B2B. Do you not provide any kind of services for B2C, like people that want to store their keys, or people just looking to?
Not really, because it's no. So it's if it's B2C, it's just I don't, unless you live in a mansion, you're not really going to have a guard.
Fair enough.
And then when it comes to like CCTV solutions, every man in a van is doing that for individuals. There's a lot more there's a lot more value in delivering this to B2B, and obviously there's a lot more complexity involved, and that's where we kind of position ourselves.
Okay, makes sense. And then in terms, you just said you're just acquired a new firm and you're just now starting. Then you're not incurring in any kind of lead generation efforts as of now. We're just now starting. You're not running ads. You're not running any campaigns.
No,
not yet.
I wouldn't. So I would say like it's because it's more of a I would like ads and those kind of like campaigns wouldn't necessarily work, because it's not transactional, low value like tickets, or deals, right? So the kind of individuals we're targeting, or the kind of persona we're targeting, they're not going to make a purchase decision by seeing our ad. Like we do already have, so the existing business already has relationships with around like 2 or 3 larger security companies, which it's a subcontractor for, and that is purely based on the relationship that the directors have. But they've brought me in to bring in sort of like growth outside of that, because those relationships are solid. They'll be there forever. It's a matter of growing the company beyond that.
No, that makes sense. Makes sense. And then I hope you don't mind. I don't want to be too direct or sound too cross here, but if you don't mind me asking, then how does your pricing structure work? What's the value of a contract? Just we can try and see.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, if it's something that is, think of I don't know, like a delivery driver, like or a Uber driver. It's potentially like sort of like minimum wage kind of employees, so low skilled labor employees, and customers know this as well. So customers are not willing to pay. There's not really much negotiation around the value side. It's all price driven, right? And that's the challenge we've faced in the past. It's when a company is not because of the sort of like the market factors, it's a race to the bottom in terms of pricing. But what we are trying to do is we're trying to differentiate ourselves by now. We have a business that is SIA approved, and that carries a lot of weight in terms of the quality of the service that we deliver. But again, you're looking at probably around like 18 to 20 pounds per hour for a guard, and then it's volume based rather than value based.
Value based, yeah. But this would be for the guards. I mean, you said you have a lot of other services like CCTV and all of that. Would that be a different pricing structure, I assume?
Yeah. So if it's a CCTV solution, then the pricing structure is it's not paid. It's a lot. It's completely different. We haven't got into that stage yet, and I wouldn't want to. I myself, haven't worked in this industry before. I come from a different industry, so that's something that sort of like maybe 6 months down the line we're looking at introducing, and the pricing structure would be different. For example, with key holding, it's priced per key that we hold. So I would have to go in to a customer site, do a survey, and figure out how many doors, etc., that we'll need. We would need to hold a key for, how often we would be opening or closing those doors. So a typical business, a typical office building, will have that outsourced. They wouldn't rely on an employee turning up every morning at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. to open the door. It's just too much risk for one person. And we would price that differently to how we would price guards. So guards, it's purely cost driven, but the way we want to approach it and the way we want to sell it, it's not we're the cheapest. We don't want it to be a price driven conversation or a pitch. We want it to be a value driven conversation. But in the end, price is going to be a big factor, and that is sort of like later on in the sales stage. But at the beginning, when we're generating leads, when we are booking meetings, it's a value driven campaign that I want to run.
Okay, perfect. And just to make sure here and just to clarify, then you are looking for us to. Our role here would be to book appointments into your calendar so that you can close the deals, obviously. But then, what do you consider then a qualified lead? Let's say, what is it? What does a qualified lead mean to you, if that makes sense?
So, a qualified lead is someone, first of all, who is in. Is it like they have a need, they have an unmet need, and they are within the industries that we serve, and they are within a location that we serve. So if you book a meeting with someone who is in Scotland, even if they have the need, we can't really meet their need. So it has to be someone who is, location wise, the need and the industry, but then also actually turns up for the meeting. We need like results rather than just loads of meetings booked and no one turns up.
I mean, in terms of location, we would clear it out. I mean, ahead of starting the campaign, we would send you an onboarding form where you would specify all of these things, and then we'll target according to the things you say. So if you say you want to target the north of England, we wouldn't send you people from Ireland or people from Scotland, if that makes sense. So that would be already clarified in the beginning. But okay, now it makes sense. I mean, in terms of lead generation efforts, what we can do and what we usually do is we have three channels. One of them is cold calling, the other one is email, and the other one is LinkedIn lead generation. Out of the three, any of them sound more appealing to you? Do you have any pre-established preference or?
And all three work.
I mean, all three work. Yeah, that's
all three work, but cold calling works a lot more for this industry because you've got a lot more individuals who are sort of like older generation, and they do business more on the phone rather than like email or LinkedIn. And then at the same time, like some of these guys, especially in construction sites, they might not be checking their emails regularly. So having someone reach out to them by phone makes a lot more sense than emailing them and just expecting to hear back from them by email.
Yeah.
So I would say a combination of the three, so like a multi-threaded approach. LinkedIn probably is like the lowest one, but yeah, email number one and then phone calls number two. Those two are like I would prioritize more than any others.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, it sounds good. I mean, our pricing structure, we charge 5,500 per month, and with that, we pursue the 3 channels. We start.
Sorry, I missed that first part. What did you say?
Oh, sorry. Okay, so in terms of pricing, we charge £5,500 per month.
Okay.
And with that, we chase the 3 channels, if that makes sense. We make use of the 3 channels. So we would do cold calling, cold email, and LinkedIn. Can you hear me? Am I breaking up? No.
Sorry, if there's typing, I'm just making some notes.
No, I can. No, it's just because I can see my camera. It's a bit patchy. I was just wondering if I was breaking up or not. But
Mukhtar's writing to his boss right now, sacking these guys off immediately. He's like, I'm just, yeah. I'm on Slack. Like, nope.
You can probably hear my keyboard, right? If I type.
I mean, but it's fine. It's fine.
Sorry, I should have said that. Like, it's a little bit annoying to some people, but it's like maybe you can. Maybe I don't need to take notes, and you'll send me something.
It's super annoying, but you're the one who's paying us, so we ain't going to say shit.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's good.
No, but I mean, as I was saying,
if it makes things, if it makes things easier, you can send over a proposal after this meeting that you don't have to type.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
I mean, we will send that.
I can only remember so much.
No, 100%. We'll send everything by written, and if you don't mind, I mean, we're also recording this call. We're not going to do anything with it. We're just going to upload it to YouTube as an unlisted link, so no one has access to it but you. So it's just so that you can have access to it and you can reference it. So that, I mean, everything's here and you don't have to memorize anything. Just make it as easy as we can for you, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, but on. As I was saying, it's £5,500 per month. We do the 3 channels. We do LinkedIn, we do cold calling, we do cold email. With email, we're going to aim to send up to 5,000 emails per month. Cold calling, we have 2 cold callers. They are both native English speakers, which tends to help. And we'll aim to do up to 100 calls per day. And LinkedIn is a bit, we send up to 1,000 messages per month, which is basically the max before it starts getting flagged. And we're also quite big on organic growth. So we will comment on your posts, we'll post on behalf of you, we'll engage with posts from the members of the community, we'll try to establish a bit of topic authority. But I mean, if you say that LinkedIn is not your preferred avenue, we can focus more on cold calling and email, if that makes sense. But I mean, we'll attack on all sides, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Help me understand how like the LinkedIn campaign works, because just from a technical point of view. So if you're going to be using my LinkedIn profile,
that's what
to add contacts and then later on to message people and then maybe to comment on people's posts, just from a privacy point of view, from a login side, how does that work?
Okay, no, that's a very fair question. It's a very smart question. I mean, the way people usually run LinkedIn campaigns, they either create fake profiles and they use bots to run their campaigns, which personally, I don't think it's a great strategy because LinkedIn has gotten quite good at identifying it and it just shuts down the campaign. What other agencies and people tend to do is what you just described. So they try to co-pilot your account. So they'll ask for your logins and they'll get access to your account and they post on your behalf. The problem with this is that LinkedIn has also gotten quite good at identifying it because they can identify logins from multiple IP addresses. So what they do is not only lose the campaign, you might also lose your account, which is the last thing that we want. So what we do, and this is how we differentiate ourselves a bit, is we provide you with a real profile from someone from our extended marketing team. So a real profile that's been active for a long time, so that LinkedIn has no problems with it. And we basically optimize it for the campaign. So we give it a relevant role title. We backdate it a bit just so that when we reach out to people, they don't think that we just started working with you and they find it a bit suspicious. And we just basically optimize it, and we make it seem like we're a member of your team that is reaching out on behalf of your team. We don't say it's necessarily you, if that makes sense.
Okay. So you would have that person on LinkedIn. It will say they are, I don't know, a business development rep, a sales development rep at Secure Store.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this way we can minimize the risk for all parties, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then in terms of then like value that we build on LinkedIn, in terms of the contacts that you would have reached out to and you would have added.
You'll get everything. You'll get everything.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll put it into a sheet and we'll transfer it all to you, so you'd retain the actual relationships.
No.
But then I would still have to add them as Mukhtar, like I have zero relationships with them, Sarah or whoever.
No, I understand. So with that, then what we do typically, so the relationships that you want will be the people that we build a successful relationship with, of course. And as soon as we get a successful conversation, we pass the relationship over to you. So we might add you as a group chat on LinkedIn, or we might send an email across. So at that point, you would come in and take over the conversation, depending upon the nature of the conversation, if that makes sense. So let's just say, for example, we have 100 people that we connect with. Clearly, that doesn't mean you have 100 leads, but within that, there might be, let's say, 5 people, 10 people, 15 people who are of value. We will then say, please add all of these people, and or we'll introduce you to all of these people anyway. So in terms of the actual real value, it will all transfer to you, if that makes sense. So we'll do the farming so that you can do the hunting.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So if, for example, you've booked a meeting with someone who you reached out to on LinkedIn, then that person now, like either prior to the meeting or before or after the meeting, I can add them on LinkedIn. And like now, I not only do I have them on LinkedIn, but I also have a meeting booked with them, which is exactly what I was after. Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
that is the end goal.
And then with emails, how does that work?
Pretty much, I mean, pretty similar. I mean, we will aim to book them into your calendar as well, and I mean, we're going to.
So are you booking the meetings under like my email address, or
we'll set up a separate account. We probably let's say, for example, using Richard for the LinkedIn account, simple example, right? Like Richard George. Then we would also create an associated email. We would set up a similar domain, so we wouldn't use securestone.co.uk. We'd use Secure Stone, maybe with a double N, so that it looks very similar. But we'll set up a 301 redirect, which basically means that we'll redirect it to your live site. So then we have the congruent messaging from LinkedIn to email, same brand persona, same person on email, and we would give you access to the email account directly anyway if you want to go in and have a look. But again, it would all end up in your calendar or in your email account, because again, that farming hunting analogy, we'll do the farming, and anything that's ultimately interesting, we would transfer / introduce to you. So you'd get the email intro, a call booked. We'd say, can you send a LinkedIn request to these 3 guys because they want to have chats this week? All of that kind of stuff. And that's how we transfer it over to you.
Okay. So not only does Richard, so not only are you booking the emails, contacting leads through this persona called Richard, but also he's using a different domain name, a different domain address, so that it doesn't affect our main domain.
Correct.
And then when Richard books meetings, he's not booking it in his calendar. He's booking meetings for his BDM.
Yeah. So hey, George, it's Richard here. I'm part of Secure Stone. I'd love for you to organize a call with Mukhtar. He's he's a man to talk to about CCTV installation. I know you got some really good questions. Can I organize some time to have a chat with him?
Okay, no, it makes sense. Okay, you'd be surprised how I was speaking to someone like before you guys around 2 p.m. And everyone does it differently. So I just wanted to understand how you guys go about doing it.
Of course.
Who on the basis of what you heard does it best? Is there anything that we don't do that you've heard that you like, that you'd say, if you also did that? Our goal, of course, from this conversation is you say, you know what, Pearl Lemon, are probably the ideal team. The goal that we'd have, because of course if you hire a guy in-house, let's just say you pay, simple example, you pay 2K a month plus there's taxes on top of that, so you're paying a guy 2.5K a month. They will not be able to recreate the volume that we can generate and the consistency that we can generate, because no one's doing 100 dials a day, 100 messages a day, 100 cold emails. So is there anything that you think of that you'd say that you have questions about that doesn't make sense, or you would seek to kind of change or include based upon the other conversations you've maybe had with different lead gen firms?
So I like the idea that the persona who's reaching out on LinkedIn is the same persona who's sending the emails. I think, and you know, the same guy who's on the phone. So that is the first time I'm seeing that. So like, well done with that, because what I've heard before is we will utilize your LinkedIn profile to add people, but it's your SDR or BDR who is sending out the emails, which doesn't really make sense, because now the customer like doesn't have that like familiarity, or like there's no continuation. And yeah, like that's one of the key factors I wanted like whoever contacts the customer, like from each channel, to be always the same person, whether it's me or whether it's, you know, my SDR or BDR, it has to always be the same person.
Sorry, Johnny, I'll let you
No,
continue.
I mean, I don't know if you want to elaborate further on the question that Deepak here asked. I mean, you said what we do well, but you don't. I mean, is there anything that you'd like us to do compared to what you've seen that we're lacking on? Or
so far, like nothing specifically. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to learn a little bit more about maybe your experience in the industry, like if you have a familiarity with it, if you worked with other security service businesses, because I know like you might have. You know, you might be working with like SaaS businesses and like,
no, we've done services business, put it that way. We worked with a company called All Services for You, and they did we were cold calling facilities management, site managers, construction companies. We were selling services, as in we'll be your full-time remote 24/7 plumber, locksmith, CCTV fixing. So we've got direct experience in this industry. And there's another company, I forget, I need to look them up because that was before them also, but that was literally specifically, but London, Canary Wharf, selling CCTV installation. So we've got actually direct experience of doing stuff like this. So we're quite familiar with how the process works and those nuances in terms of, depending upon size of business, then some companies are going to be better just to call when you're ringing site managers, because these guys aren't really, you know, running around check-in email. If you go up, then you talk to procurement companies, depending upon facilities managers, if it's big companies, because you do procurement. So we understand that the decision makers change, and you'd obviously clarify size of business and all that kind of stuff. And then we'd adapt campaigns appropriately. And then I'm hopeful that the advantage would be, because you'll speak to a couple of lead, I don't know, do most of the lead gen firms that you've spoken to do email, cold call, as well as LinkedIn, or do they do it all? Maybe they do.
So I've got like another one in 4 minutes time. So, but this afternoon is the first time I've spoken to lead gen agencies. So you guys are number 2. I've got another 2 more meetings, and then I'll have a few more tomorrow. But there's different packages, put it that way. So it really depends on what the customer prioritizes. So I want all 3 ideally. Now. I need to leave in about 3 minutes time. I've got a couple of other questions. Is there a limit on how many contacts you reach out to per month?
No. The goal really is to generate you consistently qualified appointments. So I would say that the volume isn't as important, of course, as the quality of the conversations that we're having. So if, for example, Richard is doing 100 dials a day, that might be bad because he's not talking to anybody. If he only did 20 dials because he had 4 20-minute conversations, then fantastic, because that might generate 3 good appointments. So I would say that what we're trying to look for is quality of outcome, if that makes sense. So the numbers are useful, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so in terms of quality of outcome, do you guarantee a set amount of meetings per month?
Yeah, so the guarantee that we'll have is that we'll aim to get you within the first 2 months a minimum of 8 or more. We want to do way more than that, but to give you a sense of a benchmark, when they'll come during the course of the campaign, we will determine that in the first couple of weeks when we start running, and obviously we get proof of concept. Now, when we say guarantee, what we want to guarantee is that you get people that are interested in talking to you, and then of course along that on the phone or Zoom or whatever it is, or you'll do a callback because we're like, Mukhtar's the site manager, he's definitely up for it, but this guy fucking runs around, and he might say 2, but he gets a bit busy, but then he wants to talk to you at 2:30. So we'll expectations set based upon the persona. But yeah, we would get you that level of appointment. And then we'd also, of course, send you anything along the way, because some people want an email. Some people say follow up on LinkedIn. So we'll kind of just send you everything. But
would there be like a minimum contract term?
3 months.
3 months, okay. And the reason for that?
Oh, because in the first, for example, month, we're going to get better as we go along. So you'll get the full value from us, let's say week 6, week 7. A typical BDR that you have come in, let's just say they have a 12 to 16 week ramp up period. You know, all of the sales books say give a guy 6 months. We say give us 2 months, because month 3 we'll really start ramping up results. So that's why we do the 3 month. So that's kind of the rationale behind it.
Fair enough. Okay, awesome, guys. I need to show off, but I would love to get a proposal from you guys, and then on the back of that, I will, reach out to you guys.
Last question: has what we said been strong enough so far for us to right now book in a follow-up call? Because I assume you wouldn't just say yes on email, even if you said yes. Or
no, it's been great, and I love that. There's 4 guys here who are, speaking to me. So I really appreciate that. It shows how serious you guys are. So I love that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Amazing.
I mean,
all right. See you guys later. Bye bye.
Oh, you're gonna leave. Easy, chill.
Bye.
I'll message them on WhatsApp.